Hi guys, this is Lachelle from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with my December 2020 wrap-up video. This is the last wrap-up of 2020. There will be a 2020 stats video for the whole year, but for my bi-monthly wrap-ups, recent reads, this is it. It's wild. It's wild. I've done a full year of these wrap-ups, and I feel good. The reason I started doing this last September, so it's been like a year and 4 months rather than just 1 year, but I've done one calendar year. And now I have one calendar year worth of information that I've been paying attention to. But so that's one of the reasons I started this, like, to be more mindful of my reading, to try to get more stuff in, but also because I wanted to talk about what I was reading, and I had no one really to share with on a regular basis. So this has been fun. But let's get into the reading stats. FYI, once I start talking about the books, my outfit will change. It'll be a little bit more festive because of reasons, but I'll get into that later. So let's talk about the last monthly reading stats of 2020. So for December, I read a total of 8 books. Total pages read 1,462. That is the lowest I've had in a while, but it's December. Hours listened 10.5. My average rating was 3.5. Books acquired 8. Tour.com in preparation for, I believe, the 5th book in the Wayward Children series by Shonen McGuire, gave free ebooks. No, it's the 6th book, because there was an ebook of the first 5 books in the series offered for free for a week by Tour.com, and a week or so ago I got 3 free romance ebooks through BookBub, which offers discounted ebook suggestions. So yeah, those are the 8 books that I acquired this month. I took out 7 library books this month, and I didn't read any own voices, unfortunately. The genres: I read 6 fantasy books, 1 nonfiction, and 1 romance. Formats: I read 3 audiobooks, 2 ebooks, and 3 physical books. My audience: 4 adult books, 2 children's books, and 1 young adult book. I'm going to say this really quickly. I caught this month a mistake in my spreadsheet. So I've read more children's books in previous months, and that will show when I do the overall 2020 stats. Because I added an S, children's, but the column doesn't have the S, so it wasn't calculating those in my monthly stats. Identity: I don't have anything. Everyone was pretty much cisgender in the 8 books I read, if gender came into it at all. Race: everybody was white this month. Sexuality: I had 1 lesbian, or let's say female love female. I'm going to adjust that for next year, because I have learned. Authors: I have no new to me authors, so all 8 books were written by authors that were not new to me. Types of books: I read 1 standalone, 7 books from series, and 1 of those books was a reread. And last but not least, my ratings. I've got one 4.5 star read, one 4-star read, three 3.5 star reads, one 3-star read, one 2.5 star read, and one DNF. So I don't DNF often, but there you have it. So those were my stats for December. I was hoping to get more books in, but it is what it is. Let's start with talking about the books. Hey guys, it's Christmas, and yes, I am ready. Filming this right now because everybody's out of the house, and I'm basically ready to go. I've got my lights on. But yeah, I have this outfit on. I didn't put the antlers on because you won't be able to see them very well anyway. So yeah, the next book that I read this month is The Two Towers by Jrr Tolkien. I listened to an audiobook of this with like a full cast and everything. I've been rereading, I knew I wanted to reread The Lord of the Rings. I read The Fellowship of the Ring earlier this year, and then Tolkienalong was announced, details down in the description, and I was like, oh yeah. So I listened to The Hobbit and now The Two Towers because, like I said, Fellowship of the Ring I had already reread or listened to. Again, shorter than I remember. I read these in high school, just on my own. That was not curriculum. But, the battles are quicker than I remember. But thinking about watching the movies when they came out, that wasn't, like, the detail of them, the emotion really put into them. I remember thinking, wow, they really fleshed this out so you can feel it more. And the same with the issues going on in Rohan. And I think this is all down to how short the book is than what I remember. It might just be that at the time I had not read any epic fantasy before, so it felt longer. But yeah. So what did I give this? I gave this 3.5 stars. I listened to the audiobook from my library via the Overdrive app, because my phone is too old now to handle Libby, apparently. So yeah, and it's adult epic fantasy, Jrr Tolkien, Lord of the Rings series. And yeah, so the next book I finished was finally Living with a Further Guide to Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. I don't even remember when I started this, but it was several years ago, when I was like fully solitary as a Wiccan and a witch. Yeah, I had read and I own the first book. This is like a companion book, a further guide. This is nonfiction, and it's about witchcraft, being specifically Wiccan, a Wiccan witch as a solitary, meaning you're doing your Wiccan craft, your spirituality alone rather than in a coven. And I liked it. When I started it, I was solitary, but I've since joined the coven, and I guess I kind of forgot about reading this, and then in October I was like, yeah, I should finish this, because it's sitting in my Goodreads currently reading list, and it's short. I should finish it. So Obviously, I didn't finish it in October, but that's okay. This is basically the next level for detail, and finishing it while being in a coven meant, at first I was like, oh, this no longer applies to me. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. Like, I'm not liking it as much. But on further thought, it's helped me see more about how my coven's tradition was set up. Or not in specifics, because their stuff is not in here. That's private or oathbound. But it's things that it just gives me an idea of maybe how it was created, and because the people, the originals, are no longer with us. We have our details, our lore and stuff is taught to us as coven members, but this is kind of like a general opaque behind the scenes look, which I liked. And then I really do like the last chapter was about teaching, which is something I have done, but what is it? There's more to do, and it's there's some helpful hints, I guess. So yeah, there's just three parts, I should say. The learning section, like how can you learn secrecy and things like that. Then part 2 is practice. So I guess part 1 is more like theory in general, and then like prayer, chants, simple rites and magic, how you can do it as a solitary. And then the big chunk is creating your own tradition, part 3. So it gives you like deity concepts, tools and things, how you can design a ritual, the basic parts, the general beliefs of Wiccan. So you can be a witch and not be Wiccan. So there are other witchcraft traditions, and even further, you can be pagan and not be a witch, or not be a Wiccan witch. So there are even further traditions. So there's certain things that if you do these, that is what makes you Wiccan. So, and then from there, like creating your book of shadows, what would you put in it, that kind of thing. So, and I also think this applies for your private practice. I know that sounds like a lawyer term, but we are individuals, even as coven members. Like, you can talk with your high priest and high priestess about it, and any other tradition elders, but we are individuals. There are going to be times where there's stuff that's just for you, and even our beliefs, there's a general umbrella overview for all Wiccans, and then in each tradition there's it gets more specific, but as each individual person might see things slightly different even within a coven and following that tradition. So you might do things specifically on your own solitarily, and that I think is helpful here as well. And lastly, being 21 and a lot of us in quarantine and or lockdowns and staying apart, me and my coven have only met 3 times this year, I think. So we've been doing our rituals at home just at the same time, and I think this applies here as well to some extent, to help you out. But I also think in that case, there's some stuff that you can ask your tradition elders or your high priest or priestess of your coven about how you should practice your coven traditions alone if you need to ask. So I gave this a 4-star. It's not bad. It's not comprehensive, everything you need to know, but it's good. And if you're looking to learn about witchcraft, this is a good book to pick up. About Wicca specifically, this is a good book to pick up. I also think this is one of the better annotated and of his books. The bibliography is better, and like I said, the annotations in here to let you know what concepts came from what books is much better than like his herbal books, for example. So yeah, and the next book I read was the last one in this collection of volume 1 of Oz, the complete collection by L. Frank Baum. I read Ozma of Oz, and I listened to the audiobook. This is not the one written by Talia Gilbert. I don't remember this was more an American radio production version. I couldn't find the same one at the library. But we're continuing with Oz. Dorothy is back, and there's all kinds of shenanigans, and there's an element of ridiculousness, as there is in each story. But I will say the gang's all back together again, which is nice. There's a somewhat bittersweet ending. What is he called? The King of Ev, I think it is. Or, no, not the King of Ed, like the Gnome King, I think he is. Let me just make sure real quick. Yeah, the Gnome King, which is spelled Nome. Not to confuse the children. But yeah, it was an interesting character. And then there's, I forget, Billiana or something like that. A hen who is hilarious, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I listened to the audiobook again, so now I can send this volume back. It's very interesting seeing Oz beyond the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the story we all know and love that we've seen in the movies. So I will continue slowly with this collection. I just definitely wanted to finish this volume 1 this year, and I gave this a 3 stars. This is a children's classic series, classic fantasy series, and Dorothy goes to Oz by way of tornado. She lands on the Wicked Witch of the East, and then to get back home, she goes down the Yellow Brick Road and meets friends so that they can all go to the Emerald City and meet the Wizard of Oz, who they hope will grant their wishes, like Dorothy's, to go back home. And yeah, like I said, enjoyed Ozma of Oz. I'm a little bit confused of why this was called Ozma of Oz, thinking about it. She didn't play a very big role in it, so, but that's okay. That is okay. I liked it. It wasn't bad. So, those were the last books I read in the month of December, and the last books I read in the year of 2020. I had hoped to get in at least one more. Definitely had planned for 3 more. One of which was mostly finished, but it didn't happen. Honestly, like that week of Christmas, I wasn't reading very much. And then the week after, I was filming my Plan With Me videos, or I was editing and uploading my Plan With Me videos. So I was just focused on that, and then, I think this happens at the end of every month, just kind of psyching myself out with, what should I read, and I didn't read much of anything. So it is what it is. Those 3 books I was hoping to add to this will have to come and be read in January, and that is okay. I think I get stressed by the deadline. It's not really a deadline, but of the end of the month, like trying to finish something by a certain time, for myself, and then trying to figure out the best way to read so I can read all, and that gets me anxious and overwhelmed, and then I wind up, when I get anxious and overwhelmed, avoiding the whole thing altogether. So that's what happened. But it's okay. I hope to improve on that next year, because reading should not be that stressful. It shouldn't be, so I'll think of some things to do. But this is it, guys. The last reading wrap-up of 2020. Let me know if you read any of the books that I talked about. I hope your holidays were good. I know it's been a stressful 2020, and that stress will not end necessarily in January, but I wish you the best for the future as always. I hope you have happy and healthy moments more than not in the future. And yeah, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. I will be continuing with these videos in 2021. My bi-monthly recent reads and wrap-up videos. There may be some tags here and there, and some more favorites videos. I've done like 4 or 5 in 2020. So there's more coming in 2021. I also, immediately in January, there will be my 2020 overall video. So my least favorites, my most disappointing books, most surprising books, and my favorite books of 2020, as well as, like I said in the beginning of this video, my overall 2020 reading stats. So that's 5 videos coming to you in early January. Look forward to those. Hit the notification bell when you subscribe so that you know when those videos go up. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and Happy New Year. Bye.